Describe for me the situation, how you are this morning, what's it like where you are, and why you've chosen to stay even in the Kyiv region and not to go somewhere safer.
Well, the situation overall in Kiev is tense. Like we are waiting for news about Russian advancement into the city every hour. We know that the Russians are really close. They're in the city of Irpin and Bucha, which is literally 20 kilometers northwest from Kiev, and and we are reading about the atrocities and the cruelties they're doing against the civil population or civilian population over there. It's just terrible, and it's extremely difficult for the Ukrainian army to fight against them over there, because what the Russians are doing, they're basically holding the civilians hostages in those cities and towns, and they're just using tanks to shoot in the streets. That is something that Ukrainian army cannot do, because Ukrainian army doesn't want to kill the civilians, which are still staying in the houses in Irpin and Bucha. So this is a very unfair battle that Ukrainian army has to be fighting, and that is why we realize that the possibility of Russians getting into the city of Kiev is high. And so, despite right now it seems to be safe in the city. I was driving around the city the other day, and it's extremely empty. It's extremely quiet, but people are able to go outside to like walk their dogs and buy some groceries. But everyone is extremely scared that the Russians will get into the city. We are extremely lucky that the air defense system seems to be hitting the missile attacks onto Kiev, so we don't have major structural damages. We have all our infrastructure functioning, but this feeling like they can come in any hour now, and we've been living in this feeling for a week now. That is just extremely exhausting and terrifying.
And when you talk about going out and buying groceries and that sort of thing, are you able to do that, to buy food? I mean, presumably at some point those stores will run out of supplies.
So the government is working to ensure that the supply chains are functioning, but of course it's not the same as it was before the war. So you go into the shop, and majority of shelves are empty. You can buy basic stuff, but like sometimes you have to queue for bread. The last time I went to buy bread was 2 days ago, I think, and I couldn't buy bread. And I saw that actually that the supermarket was baking bread, like in the like over there in those rooms. So I could see the bread, and I asked them like, but I see the bread over there, and they said, well, that is for the army. So that is what they're doing right now. Like all private companies, all private bakeries, supermarkets, like primary, the target is ensuring that the army has the supplies that they need, because like we all depend on our army right now. So we still have food. It's still but it's getting tense, and we really hope that they will not be able to cut the city off supply chains in the west and in the south of Ukraine, so that the city will be able to survive this siege that we may go under. But again, the situation in Kiev is so much better than it is in Kharkiv and in Mariupol, because over there that is just a disaster. I was born and raised in Kharkiv. I'm getting messages from people who are sitting in shelters there for a second week now. They are in true humanitarian disaster. So I can be complaining about the situation here in Kiev, but I really don't feel like I shouldn't be complaining, because people in Kharkiv are in so much worse situation, and that's why we have to hold strong, and we're trying to do that, and we are trying to survive. But the situation in Kharkiv is terrible. In Mariupol is terrible. In the southern Ukraine, it's complicated. I would say the Russians did make some advance there, but the Ukrainian army is fighting back, so they can't proceed. But like Mariupol and Kharkiv are a humanitarian disaster. They're basically killing the people, and they did promise the humanitarian corridors from Mariupol, and then they did something that I can't even begin to understand. They set up landmines in the place where people were supposed to gather to leave Mariupol. It's just by luck that the Ukrainian army did see those landmines on time, and they just evacuated all the people. Otherwise, we would have had like hundreds of casualties of people who did believe that they will be able to leave the Mariupol city. That is the kind of cruelty that we are seeing. That is the kind of cruelty we are dealing with.
How do you think this ends. I mean, I think everyone around the world has been surprised, impressed by the way that the Ukrainian army has fought back and has held back a much bigger country in Russia. Is this winnable for Ukraine, or do you fear that actually Vladimir Putin will just ratchet up the military response?
Well, that truly depends on the level of support we shall get from the West. Like at this point, I believe the whole world did see that the Ukrainians are doing everything in their power to fight back. I believe we have impressed everyone, including ourselves, because we did manage to fight back. And the very fact that we're 12 days into the war and the Russians are not in the major cities and they cannot proceed, they cannot move any further. They're just killing us from air bombardments mainly and from the civilians that are held hostages in several cities around the country. But the Russians cannot proceed. They are not as strong as they were pretending to be. They're not as strong as the whole world believed that they are. And they're extremely disorganized and demotivated. They're so disorganized that they realize that their strategy, the military strategy, is not working. So they're resorting to this cruelty against the civilians, just shooting the civilians on the streets. That is what the only thing they can do, because they cannot fight Ukrainian army because it is so strong and so motivated and so well prepared. But how long that will last truly depends on the West right now. So if the West is seeing this, and if the West is willing to support Ukraine, not just by words, because trust me, I'm sometimes getting so angry at the world leaders. The other day I heard the speech by Secretary of State Blinken, who said that the Ukrainian people are so inspiring. And I'm sorry, if his goal was to say the words of support, that didn't work, because the reaction was actually the opposite. We don't want to hear words from the world leaders saying that we are inspiring. We want to have a specific support that we need right now. We don't want to be inspiring, we want to be alive. And in order for that to happen, we do need support. And we do need specific support. We need tougher sanctions against Russia. And now I'm again appalled by the European Commission suggestions that they will consider phasing out Russian gas and oil. What the hell does phasing out mean? That means that European Union will continue buying Russian gas and oil just in smaller amounts. Doesn't the whole Europe understand that every single euro that will be sent to Russia now, it will be used to buy weapons with which they will be continuing to kill Ukrainians, to kill our children? That is unacceptable. That's against everything that the Western civilization is standing for. That's like, buying stuff from Taliban while they're killing people. That can't be happening. I can't accept that this is happening, and I want the whole of Europe to say that, okay, we can't do this. We can't be buying gas and oil from Russia, no matter what the price is, because the price we are paying for this war here in Ukraine is so much higher than anything that it can cost to the West. Second of all, we do want tougher personal sanctions. I'm appalled that people who are involved directly in this war against Ukraine, the Russians, the politicians, the military, they still have visas. They still can enter Europe. They still can enter the United Kingdom. Their children are still studying in the universities in the UK. How is that possible? Their children should be kicked out of the United Kingdom and go back to Mother Russia. That is what needs to be done. And then, of course, the third thing that we're asking for is ensuring a no-fly zone, because that is the only way that they have right now, because they can't fight on the ground. They are so disorganized and poorly prepared that they can't fight Ukrainian army on the ground. That's why they're killing Ukrainians from air. Just this morning, I've read a report from the city of Sumy. They have bombarded the air from air, the city of Sumy, with 20 people dead, including children. And we are unable to protect our children. And they can do it in any part of Ukraine. So no one is feeling safe. Everyone is going to bed, thinking that this can happen to us tomorrow morning. We can be in the news tomorrow morning. Our bodies can be shown on pictures tomorrow morning, everywhere. So we're asking for closing the sky. And if the West is not willing to intervene, well, we do think that this is appalling. But whatever, it's no time for discussion. Give us the fighter jets and give us the air defense systems. We shall do it ourselves. That is what we need. So how this ends, it truly depends on whether the West will be truly willing to help us, not just with words and prayers, but with actual, actions.
President Zelensky is addressing the Houses of Parliament in London today by video link. I wonder. I mean, he's from a rival political party. I wonder how you think he's handled the last couple of weeks, and what in particular you've made also of Boris Johnson's response, the British Prime Minister.
So I am from the opposition party. So trust me, someone told me 2 weeks ago that I will be saying that we stay united with the president. I wouldn't believe that. But also 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't believe that there will be bombs dropping on our heads. So right now, we all stay united. I applaud the president who is still in Kiev, who is not leaving, despite many Western leaders suggesting that he should leave. It's not safe for him to be here, apparently. But we all stay united, and I support the president. We all support each other. We shall continue our fierce political debates after the victory. But right now, we just need to make sure that we have a country in which we would be having political debates. As for the reaction from the United Kingdom, it's mixed. It's mixed. We are grateful for the weapons that we're getting from the UK. We're asking for more. The Russian army is big, and we need more weapons to fight. I believe the United Kingdom is seeing now that all the weapons that has been given to Ukrainians is really being put into good use. It's really useful in terms of fighting Russians. But then we are not seeing enough progress in terms of sanctions, and we are not seeing enough progress in terms of a no-fly zone. That is what we're asking for. That is what will save our lives.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. We really appreciate your time today, and I hope you manage to stay safe as well. But really appreciate your time, Inna Sovsun.